Yes, sir. It's great to be with y'all. Looking forward to another season. Great to kick it off another season, and excitement and joy, and watching hopefully another group of young men grow and become a great unit as far as unity and camaraderie and things like that. That's what football ends up being about. At the end of the day, we're talking about blocking and tackling, which we'll get to that, but it's about unity. They're caring for each other and the responsibility to each other and how they see that, and it's fun to be a part of it. Everybody asks me always what I love about coaching. That's my favorite thing. It's the relationships with the players and watching them do things they never thought they could do, and unify for a goal, and learn to help on each other, depend on each other, and pull for each other, just like you would in real life. What they end up doing in their families and jobs and things they end up doing for the rest of their career. There's not a greater sport to do it with here. So excited about that. Looking forward to having a lot of these old veterans and some of the leadership we have in our team. Everybody knows, talks about the quarterback battle. I think we have 3 outstanding quarterbacks in our scholarship. I think Blake does a great job. I think Eli does a great job. I'm anxious to get him back now that he's getting healthy, Eli, and what he's doing. So I'm anxious to get really 4 there, and then Blake does a great job there too. Those guys are all can play. Blake was ready to play last year. Some great young battles in all the positions. I think that's one of the things, hopefully, I love to see, watch guys compete. I think some of the leadership on the guys we have with the quarterback group and the receivers are nice, and some of those backs, the chain and our line. I think Bryce, Bryce is another guy, just great leadership, great character, high moral guy. Big Deuce, Layden Robinson through the roof. That group up front, Trey Zunes coming into the zone. Those guys, that's a really good group of just great human beings. Defensively, the same way. And McKinley Jackson back, getting Isaiah Rakes back. That group of guys that just keeps playing in there. Some of those young guys, Fidel's done a great job being a leader. Tamise coming on, watching Coop really grow and where he is. Andre, and of course in the secondary, getting all those corners back. And Miles and get Brian George back, but then some of the young guys come up. That's going to create a lot of great things. Those young players, and Antonio Johnson, of course, Damani, and snappers and centers. They got a good group, but then watching those young guys come push. That's what it's about. Competition eliminates complacency. It's a great thing, and what you do and how you do it. So that's when you have good teams. But these guys seem to have a great camaraderie. Very pleased with the summer. They're in great shape, relatively healthy for the most part. Tweaks and turns on things, but should be a great day. Questions?
Questions. 4th row here, David.
David Nuno, Texas. Jimbo, is this the most collection of talent with veterans and young players that you've had since you've been here?
I'd have to really look at it. You want to always say that, but we'll say I think we had some talented guys in the past, but there's some really talented guys, and we'll see. I haven't seen all the new guys yet. Haven't got to really see them go practice and play and do all that, so we'll see. But we're in a good position. We really do. Now it's how we can come together and play consistently.
We'll go down front.
Do the things you have to do to be successful.
Cole, and then to the left, Zach.
Cole Thompson, allaggies.com. Jimbo, can you kind of talk about how you've seen Antonio develop more so in that leadership role this past offseason? And also, do you think that you're just going to utilize him in a variety of different positions, or do you think there's going to be a...
Well, I think he has been a really good leadership. I think Damani's really jumped out in leadership. I think that's senior, but I think Antonio has grown in those roles too. And yes, the versatility, and you'll play him in different places, and I think all of them can. I think Damani can. I think quite a few of these guys can be moved in place, and you have to in the secondary because they're matchups. How you got to tackle, how you got to tackle in space, who you got to cover, way you got to cover, because people can move so many guys around. That's just the way the game's played now. But really excited about Antonio. I love Antonio. He's a great competitor and has a really high ceiling. I hope he has a great year.
Down front, left, Zach.
Jimbo, Zach Taylor, WTAW. Now coming into year 5, is there any significance to that number, and how do you see the program compared to maybe where you envisioned it in its 5th year?
I think we're right where we want to be. We have a chance to be very competitive and play, and your urgency every year is the same. There's never a difference in urgency. We don't approach it any different. There's nothing you see any different. We're putting things in place. What we're doing very well. We've gotten more depth. We're recruiting, I think, at a very good pace, and we'll see what happens, in our player development and where these guys go. We'll go out there and see them. But I love where we're at. I think we're always in that conversation, and we have one of the better teams, and still have a relatively young team. That's the exciting thing. Very talented, but very young. So hopefully we can have great seasons this year and more to come. We keep recruiting well and things going well. So I love where we're at and what we're doing. It takes time to build the things the right way, and the things you're doing, and we're doing it that way, and it's been very good. And I like where we're at. I do.
Coach, we'll go back behind the lights. We'll just go right down the road, guys.
Ben Peck, KX. Coach, when you have guys competing beyond just general competition and practice, specifically for those guys where starting jobs are on the line and places on depth charts,
they're all on the line.
would you prefer that they they not worry about that part so much, let you guys handle it, or do you find that that sort of can bring
You
out
can't
the
worry
best
about it.
guys?
Here's what you can handle. Control what you can control. That's how you play. You can't worry about the guy beside who you're competing. If you're an offensive guy, you're worried about the guy you're competing on defense. If you're a defensive guy, you're competing on offense. You got to play well with the situation that's put in hand in front of you at that particular time, and be consistent each and every day. That's the thing you ask for. You can't worry about the guy beside you, and you don't try to one up him, because your situation to go one up him may not be the right situation to do it. You got to just compete at the play in front of you. The offensive guys compete against defense compete against the offense, and then collectively, and hopefully what I have is you have multiple guys that can play. You find rotations, you find things that go on and do that way. And you can't, it's like saying, I want to go win the game. That's great. Don't look at the scoreboard. Go play every play. The scoreboard will say what you want when you play well. And, I mean, I know that sounds cliche, but it's like when you're thinking about, it's like they always ask me, Tiger Woods, when you're going that putt, you think about winning that putt? No, I'm thinking about where I'm going to hit it and the way I'm going to hit it. This is what I have to do to make it. And that's what you have to lose yourself in, because you can't think about results. You got to be a process-oriented group and of everything you ever do. And that's the same way when you're in a competition battle, going out and competing every day and being consistent and making every play you can be. Because some guys are two different players, have two different talent levels, but can be utilized in different ways, and both can still be very successful. That's the one thing about football, and it's based off also sometimes what the team are around you or what that part of it is. So just make your value as much as you can and control what you can control.
Coach will stay in the back to the far left.
Hey, Coach, Eric Kelly, Fox 44. In terms of the guys who are competing for a starting quarterback job, do you have specific areas that you want each of them maybe differently to prioritize in what they show, or is it kind of the baseline of, are you accurate, can you lead touchdown drives?
No, I want that whoever that quarterback has, he's going to have certain characteristics. Just like, all right, who's going to win the national championship? You don't know, but I'll tell you this: you know what they're going to look like. You know what they're going to do on the field. They're going to be physical at the line of scrimmage. They're going to create big plays. They're going to be able to not have self-inflicted wounds and be very disciplined, not have penalty. I mean, all those things you do. Same way with the quarterback. I mean, whoever wins that job, he has his characteristics that you have to play. He's got to be great. His decision-making and accuracy. And maybe we feature throwing a go ball to a post ball. You figure a dig to a hook. I mean, each guy has a different thing, but his decision and accuracy and talents and things like that, they have to, and be able to collectively unite people for a common goal and make guys understand that and affect guys in a positive way by how they practice or what they say or their demeanor. I mean, there's those characteristics. Whoever that guy is are going to have the same characteristics. They're not going to differentiate.
We'll stay in the back, Darryl, and then to the left, Cease.
Coach Darryl Bruffett from KBTX, can you just talk about the excitement level that you and your staff have getting those guys back out there this afternoon and getting things rolling?
It is. I mean, that's why you coach. That's why you play, to get on the grass. That's why you go run all those sprints, lift all those weights, do all those things to get on the grass and play. And as a coach, it's the same way, and build those relationships. And I love practice. I mean, you love games, but I love practice. I mean, I do. I love being out there and interacting and developing. That's where guys develop. That's where they grow. And not have to worry about getting criticized. We get on them, but they ain't got 7,000 people on you write an article about them, or whether they do good or bad, or in Twitter or whatever social media it is. They write good or bad. You know what I mean? That practice, it's a sacred ground. That's why it is. It's a sacred ground where you develop and grow as a human being, and everybody grows behind the scenes. They don't have to worry about, the commitment of being judged worldly. They just have to be in their collective families. What you do is like your family knows things about you no one else knows. That's what your team knows things about you no one else knows, and that's what that unity is about. And the excitement to get on that field and do that, I love that. I love that. And watching guys and other guys help those guys grow or get on them if they get out of line or do the things they do. Those relationships, I love that part of everything we do.
Coach to the left, Cease.
Robert Sess of the Bryan College Station Eagle. Do you think Anaya Smith was hurt by not being in SEC Media Days? And what is the status of Chris Russell?
Hurt in what regard?
Well, as far as publicity and, he was going through.
No, I think he's come out and explained, and you tell the truth and you move on and don't worry about it. You can't worry about that. You have to go play and do the right things and make the right decisions each and every day. Yeah, and Chris Russell will be at practice today.
Down front, Olin, and then Cole.
Olin Buchanan, Texags. Jimbo, a couple things, if it's okay. First of all.
No, it's not.
All right. Well, then one. First of all.
So you don't care. You're going to do it anyway.
Well, no, I said I'd just do one. But then I'd ask for the microphone again later. You've, in your history here, and I assume at Florida State as well, you've shown us that you've never hesitate to start a true freshman. What do you look for that makes you think that those guys are ready to, or know that those guys are ready to play?
And he gives our team the best chance to win. But there's nobody else in that regard that gives our team a better chance to win. Listen, I owe that to the other players. I owe it to the coaches that work here. I owe it to the people in the building. As a head coach, you're making decisions. You owe it to put the guys in position because those guys, their jobs, their lives, and all what they do is based on that. And that's my responsibility, no matter what your age is. That, you owe that responsibility to your team, to your coaches, to everybody that's employed under you and what you do, that you put the best players on the field to give your team the most chance to be successful.
But how do you know that, how do you sense that guy's ready?
Well, about 35 years of coaching and watching the other guy that he's going against or who the other player is that's competing for that position, or what it does for our team and how we think our team has to win. And do we need this or that? I mean, that's how every position guy, that's how every position is determined who they win and what goes on.
And how much improvement, or what do you just typically look for out of a second-year guy?
Hopefully he grows and doesn't make the same mistakes. Hopefully he understands your concepts and conceptually what you're doing and plays with a greater consistency level. And hopefully, and doesn't put, but also doesn't take that for granted. Or secondly, doesn't put too much pressure on himself to be able to perform. That his performance continually grows and he's more consistent and he does things and understands team orientation a lot better and things like that. I mean, that's almost an endless question to a point. But, you see guys sometimes that, well, he's a second year and he didn't really work. Sometimes they put too much pressure on themselves, that they think they have to make this jump. What they have to be is themselves. Maximize their ability and play with greater consistency. And that's what usually happens as you get older, as players get better. They understand the assignments better, they understand the concepts better, and they understand themselves better and what it takes to be successful. And they've had times that, in that first year, second year, all right, I did this and failed, I did this and succeeded. And they can repeat those things and eliminate the other. And that's all part of growing and learning. Part of it is, and in today's world especially, the pressure on these kids. They feel the pressure to play and do, and I'm not saying here, I'm making a generality across our country because of social media and how well press is. And, it's not, how many great stories do we write? They're all it's about 3-to-1 negative to great. That's just the world we're in. And I get it. That's what sells papers. That's what sells clicks, the headlines, all those types of things. Those kids have to eliminate those things and not feel those pressures. And sometimes that's hard. And that's hopefully with maturity, you grow in that regard.
Fourth row on the left, Chuck.
Chuck Carlson, Dallas Morning News.
Yes,
Two
sir.
housekeeping questions. One,
Yes, sir.
Of any players on the roster, are any going to be unavailable for the start of practice for you guys for injury, for example?
Yeah, I have to go through and see that. Go ahead.
And two, do you have in your mind a date that you want to have a number one quarterback named?
Yesterday. No, I mean you do. I mean in that regard, but I always say that don't put a timetable on it. They'll tell you, and the team will tell you, and how they play each and every day will tell you. You know what I'm saying? That it'll be obvious from what you do. Let me go through this thing. There is a couple guys that were. Dindy is not. He's going through. He's getting very close. Hopefully by the end of this camp, middle of this camp, or right at the end, he ought to get his rehab knee is doing really good. Won't be out there when you see that. Let me just go through it. It's easier that way. I don't have my report in front of me, guys. That there. Killebrew, same way. And he hopefully in camp should. That's kind of the projection date back. We'll see. Very closely in camp. However, Marcus Killebrew, because of a knee surgery when he came in, we knew that. Bobby Taylor will probably be out for a while because of the surgery he had once he was here with an old injury that he had when he came in. Cleaned up. Those guys there. A couple guys that are coming back off actually had COVID. Not very bad symptoms, but you have to do the Tay time. There'll be a couple of those guys. I think. Let me see who. Trey Zune's one of those guys. I'm just going through this. I'm not trying to make sure I hit you all the right way with the right information. Hezekiah Jones. I mean, he medicaled his last year, coming back from all those injuries, all those things. He medicaled. Donnell Harris did the same thing. Who else am I missing?
That's those two.
Was it
I
done?
think
I'm
so.
trying to think off the top because they wouldn't be on here. Unfortunately, I'd love to have those guys. I mean, I hate that. I think there. Walk-on Caleb Serber. He was one of our receivers, has a COVID deal. Trying to see it going through. Am I missing anybody? I'm just reading. I'm just going through it. Make sure I don't tell you. I believe that's it right now. Kenyon Jackson's still in the rehab situation with his deal. Charles Schelling, the walk-on, actually hurt an Achilles in a workout this summer. In that regard, and I believe that's it.
I think that's it.
If I miss one, I apologize. You may know one or not. I apologize. I
Got
think
time
that's
for
it.
a couple of more, Cole, Zach, and Nolan.
Yes, sir.
Jimbo, just a quick two-parter. Number one, how have you seen Trey progress since coming back from the ACL injury? Trey Zune.
Oh, okay.
And then
Yes, sir.
also with guys like Layden and Bryce and Ruben having an immense amount of starting reps from last year when you're replacing 4 offensive linemen, does that raise the level of consistency and maybe the level of the standard of the offensive line?
I sure hope. I sure hope. And I think they've had really good summers. Those kids have worked hard and are I think very talented. Very talented. And gifted. And Trey's been outstanding. Trey has played. His knee hadn't bothered him. It's a shame. I thought he could have played last year if he wouldn't have got hurt, had to come in. He's a guy I was really high on watching. This guy's a very smart guy. He's lifted, gotten big. I thought he had a really good spring. I'm really excited about him. I think he has a chance to be a really good player.
Front left, Zach, and then Nolan.
Jimbo, what sets Devon A-Chain apart? And do you feel like he's underrated by people around the country?
I don't know what underrated is, but if you go look at production, the guy averaged 7 yards a carry, and he had 130. He had 900 some yards and can catch the ball. There's nothing he can't do. And you look at him, and the thing about it is very deceiving. If you go watch, them aren't just runs going outside. Majority of his runs are between the tackles. The guy has an unbelievable knack to get through there. He's very patient. He's a natural runner. Of course, he's got great top-end speed, but he's got phenomenal hands. And to say probably maybe so, I don't know where they've ranked. I don't get into all that preseason, who's all league and all that stuff. I see it and I don't see it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where he's at, but he's a very talented guy and a very good guy, very smart guy and very diverse. And I say that not just catching the ball. He runs in those tackles, and he's a good pass blocker. He's a good football player, man. Somebody's underrating him. They don't need judgments on players. Yeah, they don't need to be a scout. I promise you that, or a GM.
All right, Olin, wrap us up.
Okay, first of all, some
Now,
clarification.
this is a 5-question.
I got you.
So we got another 30 minutes.
Well, Travis isn't here, so I'm trying to pick
How
up
come
some
y'all
slack.
don't do that? Y'all are just very professional. Is that right? I'm just jagging.
No, it's fine.
Gotta have fun on the first day of practice.
That's right.
After that, you're always grumpy about everything that's going on. So I'll come in there and we're terrible at this. We're awful at that. That guy stinks. These guys are terrible, and we ain't gonna win a game. All right. So here we go.
But first of all, just some clarification. When you say medical, that means they're done? The medical?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Retirement, medical retirement? What
part of yes don't you understand?
I just want to make 100%.
What part of yes don't you understand?
Don't want to
Lord
assume
almighty.
anything. Don't want to assume anything.
Oh, no, I'm good.
And then, hey, how do you see that right guard competition going?
Well, Layden Robinson's about the best one of the top ones
Okay,
in
I'm
the
sorry,
country.
left.
No, say I'm prepared. You already asked your question. That's why you asked your.
My other right.
Layden, no, but you got guys. But outstanding. And I think Moko's done a great job there. We'll give all of our young guys. Moko I thought had a really good spring. I think he's established him. Have a good shot there. And you got Mark Naboo. You can put Cam Dewberry. You got Matthew Wyckoff that can play guard too. Center. Quite a few guys that can be over there, and we'll see as we go. And right now, I'm not as concerned about who's starting. Like, we're going to be 1 and 3, 2. Everybody's going to get the same amount of reps on 2 different fields. And I don't care if you're in the 1 and 3. Just go play good football. Well, I promise you, we'll get you on the field. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to find it out. And that's the best way to do it, is get them as many reps as you can. And right now, it's just, that's lineup, and we'll intermingle the guys, whether each quarterback will be with the 1s, each quarterback will be with the 2s, each quarterback will be with the 3s, each lineman may be at left, right guard, and then we'll intermingle those guys. But right now, it's about getting reps and just learning, and that's what I'm anxious to see which one of those young guys. I don't know. We'll see. I thought Moko had a really good spring, though. I thought he really developed and came on. It's a shame he got hurt right there at the end in that spring game. We really didn't get to see him, but he played through that thing hobbling on an ankle that was, that was tough. But there's some really good guys in that group that I think can play, and some of these young guys will push. But I like where Moko was too. I thought he made a lot of development and growth in the spring.
Coach, thanks for your time.
It was left guard, see.